What's up, YouTube? So I am doing a little winter project. It's not going to be done right away or anything, but I'm going to be putting lights on the front of the boat. I hate taking other people's ideas, but I like the way Torchcraft does it, and I like the way I won't see any wires around my windshield if I hang them up high. So I'm going to be cutting out one there and one there, both sides. I did fog lights, or spotlights and floodlights. I got them from Amazon. They're cheap for what they are. Aux beams, I think they're on sale for around $70-ish Canadian. And they're cheap enough that I can replace them. And they're 3" by 3" square, so same size as, like, say, rigid if I wanted to upgrade down the road. So I've done a layout. That's the angle of the front of the boat, and I've drawn out the first set. So just trying to get a rough idea of how big the housings have to be. Okay, so I'm gonna bring them in, say 1/2 inch to 3/4, and then I'm gonna start building my housing. I'm gonna do this break. That'll all be one piece, and then I'll just be welding on the top and the bottom. So I gotta build those first. That way I can get my OD, the outside dimension of the box, the housing, and then I can start laying out on the front of the boat. So, brackets for the lights. Being inside the housing, I will not be able to access the nut on the back side, or the bolt. I'll only be able to be on the inside with a nut on the inside of the boat, underneath the back. So what I'm gonna do, took a little bit of paint off each side. I'm just gonna tack weld. They make it handy, like the little recess section makes it so that the thing doesn't spin, but still it's loose in there, so I won't be able to play with that at all. So I'm just gonna TIG weld a little bit on each side. First, I'm gonna check if this weld through primer, MIG welding, it's fine, but TIG, it's such a stable arc that I don't know how it'll react to it. It might like pop back on the tungsten just like galvanized. So I sprayed a little bit on the table, wait for that to dry. Then I'll just strike an arc on it and see what it does. And then preferably I'd like to use that. That way underneath this bolt, it's not gonna start rusting out on me because these are just carbon steel. And then I'll be welding them with 309 stainless steel to carbon steel filler. That way we're all good and nothing's gonna start to rust. And then of course, paint after. All right, let's go. So I struck an arc on the table. It didn't act any different than what it would if I was just striking an arc on clean metal. So that's really nice. So this stuff is Proform weld through zinc coating. It's great for getting a weld or getting some paint on a surface that you won't be able to get paint on after it's done welding. So this is second coat on these brackets. I know the backside is just gonna melt away all the paint there, but I'll have to just touch up the whole thing with some black afterward. And yeah, let's go. Black dead. All welded. It did act a little different than striking an arc on here, I think because I had 3 coats of paint on it, but it also, holy crap, can't focus. Anyway, just a little tack, top and bottom. Melted the hell out of the paint on the other side, so I'm gonna have to clean the whole thing up a little bit with a wire brush and then just spray them back down to black. So I got one housing in, just trying to get it lined up here, like dead straight. Right now it's pointing a little bit outward. Light on the inside, fairly tight. It's out of level too. If I kick the bottom down, that gap does close up. Right now it's pointing down. I got better leverage on the inside to mess with the whole thing. There. That gap looks bigger than it is just because the light's there, but that gap is even. This one is gappier from halfway up downward. So I got to take off shave a little bit of material from halfway up to the top there. Then this thing will kick over ever so slightly. Close that gap, and put it from the bottom. I got to get the light in and see where it ends up here. That way I can start, and then once the light's in, mounted, I can now trace out this housing, make those cuts, and tack it in once it's all level. Okay, so I've got both holes cut out. To do my template, I'm just going to trace my line. Just like that. This hole ended up being a little bit big for the housing. I think it's because the hull starts to really travel back rather than out. So I'm gonna, when I transfer the line to that side, I'm just gonna shorten it up like just under an 1/8. So this one's gonna get a little more filler, and hopefully it doesn't cause an issue with warping. Okay, now that these are cut in, as tight a fit as you can get them and as level as you can. So these are pointing up just ever so slightly. I've leveled the boat front to back, so these are just out of level, just the way the cuts ended up being, but they are the same on both sides. So that you know if they're going straight and in line with the boat, you can run a straight edge across here and sort of just eyeball it front to back. These are more than satisfactory for me. Another thing you can do to make sure they're both in line with each other and not pointing towards each other or pointing out from each other, run 2 straight edges on the inside of each one and measure the distance across from a forward point and then a aft point. Oh, there goes the air compressor. Okay, so I've got these rubber grommets for the harnesses on these lights. They are really big, obviously, but the harness will go through. Then the rubber grommet will be on the inside. And I think these are actually meant for kayaks, so that everything's watertight for like those extremists. So anyway, you get that in there like that. Then of course this goes over like this. Like that. Then you've got a rubber washer. It's supposed to be on the other side already. And then a backing nut. So that these guys are watertight inside the housing. I think it's going to be a little bit, this body's a little bit big for where this bracket ends up. So I'm just going to have to shave it down just a little bit. Just on the side, no big deal. Part of modifying is everything ends up being modified. Okay, so there it is. Inside the light, it is angled down because it's mounted high. And then you have the grommet. And still, I did not have to cut the harness or anything like that, which I was afraid of. But yeah. So this one, what's in here? There we go. Very nice. Finally got these things in. Housings are all sanded down. Guess I could have done a little better job there, but sanded down, smoothed out. We got spotlights in the front, floods in the side. See, it looks pretty damn good. Nothing's plugged in yet. Just mounted them. I gotta go inside and just tighten her down. All right, we are inside the bow of the boat. So, as you can see, we are watertight. Got these rubber grommet fittings. They were on Amazon, but they're like posted as like kayak through hull fittings. I guess you want those things watertight when you got the skirt wrapped around you. So yeah, just gonna tighten these down. And that is that. Then on to the wiring. Now, boating at night is a possibility. Hey y'all. So, the front fogs are finished. Fog lights, off-road lights, whatever you want to call them. Finished, completed, installed, wired up. The factory harness that came with them was the perfect length for this 12-foot boat. There wasn't any room to spare on it, mind you, but I'll show you what I did. So here's where I have everything. It looks like a mess, but the relays are right here, mounted upside down, right? The positive goes to my battery switch, and the negatives right here. Running them, I can't remember if I ever showed you guys this, but I just riveted on tabs here just to mount all my harnesses and whatnot too. Coming under here, I just drilled a hole through there, and then I can also zap strap through there as well. Okay, so there's one there coming forward, another zap strap hole right there, another tab, and then whatnot. Okay, coming forward. So this guy right here is the harness. I've got both set up running through the same one and running just on the back side of this bracket and then to the lights. Okay. Now this is, can't remember how I was filming, but anyway, this might be upside down on the TV. It's all good. So there's the harness. Main coming from the battery, and then you can see as this is the furthest light and it barely reaches, but it's perfect. You know what I mean? There's nothing to spare, and everything is wired up nicely. Everything's tucked away. And then coming into my switches, they came with like some cheap little switches, so I grabbed some nicer cheap little switches. So they're running up through this way. There is a constant power for the LED on my switch, so I've got them under here on a 3 amp fuse just for the LED light, and then they go up through there into the helm, the cluster, and here they are. Right there, those two. Bam, bam. Okay, so I'm gonna flick this on. My start stop button. Wake up that ECU for fun. All right, and then
light number 1 in the center and light number 2 on the sides. So it's pretty bright in here, so you can't really get the gist of it. I'll go shut off the light and try again. Be right back. All right, light is off in the shop, and here's 1 and 2. These things are insanely bright. Like, I can't even get a good shot from the front because all you see is like glare through the camera. But that's it. I like it. And then next up, I've got a washdown pump, and that is going to be going, I've already built the bracket. It's going to go sort of hug right there, and then I'm going to use my drain right there. I'm going to tee into that drain, and that is for my sand trap drain, so that while I'm stationary floating, there will always be water in there for pickup for the washdown pump. That's going there. I'm going to come forward, and I'm going to be building a couple of trays, 1 on each side. First of all, I have to make sure this floor is going to lift out. So I might not be able to build a tray, but that's the plan. Might have to build it a bit higher, which I don't want to build it too high. So I'm going to have a port coming out, or quick connect right here for the washdown pump, reel, and nozzle. All right, it's been fun. Oh, here I'll get another shot of those things installed. Yeah.